This is Mommy Sexual reporting for duty.
For this particular discussion, I actually brought along a viewer who is actually one of the very first people that I've ever had comment on a video of mine. So I want to introduce Kyle.
Hello! Honestly, I only followed your channel in the first place because you were uploading the CD dramas.
Yeah,
and then
before this channel became a Madoka channel, I originally started my career, so to speak, just uploading like the drama CDs. Like I uploaded, you actually can still find those on the channel. I'll probably have them linked below or something, but I essentially have the first three Madoka drama CDs, and if you haven't seen them, I recommend them because you'll basically get more insight into like certain aspects of the series, like with the characters and blah blah blah. But I started off uploading drama CDs, and then I would say maybe like a year or two after that is when I started to upload some discussions. I think the very first discussion I uploaded was something about, I think it was like some kind of an analysis on Madoka, and Kyle was actually one of there was. Yeah, I believe it was you and two other people, but you were actually one of the first people that actually commented. And I remember at the time it really made me feel good to like read, what you had to say, because, like at that time I was completely new to the idea of like recording and like putting myself on like the internet or whatever. And if you listen to the video, you can kind of tell that I have like a little bit of a shyness thing going on because it was like one of the first things I ever did. So it was really great to, get like, positive feedback, and it really kind of encouraged me to keep going. So yeah. And I think it's really cool because you're actually one of the people who has actually stuck with me from before my channel was anything, and even now you're still following along, and it's really great. It really makes me feel like I must be doing something right because you haven't left yet.
Anyway, let's get to the topic.
Yeah, so the topic is going to be whether or not Madoka Magica should continue. Now, how I want to do this is that I want to hear your thoughts on this first. I'm not going to give my thoughts until we've heard what you had to say, and then I'll probably ask questions about why you feel how you feel, and then I'll give my thoughts. So, in your opinion, how do you feel about the idea of Madoka continuing?
Okay, so I think the clear distinction we've got to make here is that the question specifically is, should we get a fourth movie or a second season that continues continue where Rebellion left off, basically. That's the main thing you're asking.
Essentially, yeah.
Right. And I kind of have two answers. The first answer is yes, because Rebellion it ended on a cliffhanger. You can't get to the end of Rebellion and go, yes, I'm done. I have no more questions about what's going to happen next. You know?
Right.
It ends very distinctly. So you want to know what happens in Devil Homura's world. What, the girls have got their minds wiped. Are they going to find out? Is, Kyubey going to tell them and, try and get them to fight against Homura or something? There's such a massive mystery left over at the end of Rebellion.
I agree.
However, my counter argument is I'd rather not have a fourth movie if we're going to get something as bad or worse than how Rebellion turned out.
Do you think that Geno Ibuchi is going to be signed for the next movie? Should we get one? Do you think he's going to be the one who's primarily writing it, just like the previous entries in Madoka?
If he doesn't, then I'd be even more worried. Because it means that he's lost hope in the story itself.
It's funny because, and if I can find that interview, I will feature it during this part. But he once said, and I don't know if this was an interview that took place after Rebellion or after the original series, but somewhere he said that watching Madoka in a lot of ways was kind of watching like a child continuing to grow. And he mentioned something along the lines of, there's a chance that it will continue to do so, even if I'm not necessarily there to help it along. Essentially, I'm kind of paraphrasing it. These aren't his exact words, but he said something along the lines of, "There is a chance that this may continue to keep going, and I may not be here to see it through," kind of thing. He did mention that somewhere.
If I can jump on that, because that's a really interesting point to talk on. Okay. I'll accept this idea that it is like a growing child, essentially. Yes, because the series, or the first two movies, depending on how you watched it, etc., it's a teenage life. It's very adolescent. It's about making, as Madoka's mother so eloquently put it, it's about making mistakes.
Yes.
And learning from those mistakes. And by the end of the series, Madoka has reached the point, it's sort of the crossing point between being a teenager and becoming an adult.
Right.
It's what you're going to do with your life, or at least some idea of what you're going to do with your life, and you're going to go for it.
Right.
And then Rebellion is, you now know where you are, but, you're now having to deal with new conflict.
Right.
It's teenage stuff is angst, adolescence is all a bit rough, and then adult life, it's now hard stuff to deal with, such as reality itself not being what it's cracked up to be for. Okay, but my issue is that it actually got to the point where they had the little happily ever after, and like you could put a full stop in it, which was when Hong was going to be taken away by Madoka.
Yes. We were so close to getting that beautiful like ending with the two.
Oh, damn it!
With the two star-crossed lovers just being like, it's like they were separated for such a long time, and then suddenly, you just felt that we were gonna like. I'm not sure if people were like expecting like a kiss scene or something like that, but I'm sure people were probably thinking along the lines of, oh my god, they're finally gonna
a
get
fade
together.
to white.
And then
there was a fade to white. I go, yep, cool, end, great. We can all go home,
Yeah.
But no.
And then suddenly the dark, chilling music hits. Like, I'm not saying there was dark, chilling music, but I'm just saying, like, suddenly, all those expectations were kind of like, yeah. Like, I think they were like one of the funniest reactions that I've heard, because I've known people that actually went to see the movie like in actual theaters. I think the general consent was I believe somebody mentioned that there was they actually heard people booing like by the time the movie got to I think the actual end. I think when Homura is dancing around with Kyubey, I think there were people that were generally upset, and essentially there was like a WTFs just kind of going like all over the theater. This is essentially what I heard. Like a lot of people had such a distaste for the direction that the series went in terms of how it ended.
A little anecdote in here. I actually, I tried to, because I was so into Madoka, I really tried to help get my friends into it as well, even if they weren't necessarily super into it. I think I probably pushed them a bit too far because I was really enthusiastic, And it culminated in, I managed to get a copy of Rebellion. And I don't know if you've ever had this, if you ever tried to like show friends shows or whatever.
Yeah. I have some experience with that. I'll just briefly. So I actually watched the Madoka series. I didn't get to watch Rebellion with her, but I watched the first. I watched the first series with my mom. That was back in 2014, and I also watched. I was also able to get one of my best friends in real life to watch it as well too. So yeah, I've had some experiences with getting some people. Yeah.
So for the show, I sort of just gave them my copy of the series and went, "You can go watch it," and then they come back and go, "Oh my god, that was amazing,"
Wow.
Which is exactly what I wanted to happen. But with Rebellion, I think no less than about 4 or 5 times, I literally took a friend round my house and we just watched Rebellion for 2 hours. So I've seen Rebellion about 10 times now, and half of them are just trying to show a friend it.
Wow.
All of it just to get to that ending, just because I want to see what they think.
Did you was it the kind of thing where as soon as you got to the point where like the critical thing was going to happen with the Homura and Madoka, did you like look at their faces and try to and just wait for them, like
turning around as I watched their face like slowly turn to horror?
Yes. Yeah.
So 2 of them I think genuinely had a "oh my god, what the hell is happening" sort of reaction to it, which was great.
Right.
But the general consensus was just sort of a deadpan stare.
Oh, wow.
As it all went on in a, "oh my god, why are we going this way? What we had a happy ending. What's happening?"
Wow. Do you think that's how most fans kind of reacted to when they saw this happening? Because I think a lot of people probably looked at this and they probably thought, why? Like, why are they doing this? Like, why is this happening?
I mean, okay, I watched Rebellion before the dub came out.
Okay.
I watched it in sub in 20. I think it was 13.
I think it was 13 that it came out DVD and Blu-ray. I think. Don't quote me on that. I think so.
I remember seeing it.
Right.
And I watched it very late. It was literally like I finished it and I was like, I need to go to sleep now. But I remember finishing it and going, well, that sucks. Just sort of react to it. Because like I had been enjoying it so much, and then it happened, and I sort of had to shake myself a bit to like actually confirm that what I'd just seen had happened.
Wow, you were in a real shock.
Yeah, I was in shock. Oh well, that's the end of that. We'll get a sequel, hopefully.
Yes, that ending needs to be fixed. Yeah, I agree. That ending.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah, that was a little bit of an off tangent, but yes, that's why I'm just so concerned about if we actually got a fourth movie, whether it would work or not. Basically.
Yeah, you're mostly like more than anything like what are the two things you're most concerned about? Are you concerned that they're going to be able to really present a story that's actually good for the series, that actually can match up with what they did in Rebellion or maybe the original series? Or are you concerned that because for all we know, it may not necessarily be a movie, it could be a season. Are you afraid that they're going to maybe milk the franchise more and that it's going to become a thing like, I guess, put something like a Naruto or any show that just continues on and on without stopping? Is that like what's your biggest concern between those two when it comes to the series continuing?
Isn't along the lines of it going on and on forever. Because on the one hand, I love the series specifically because it's so well enclosed. Those 12 episodes are perfect.
Yes. Yeah.
Rebellion existence, you would believe you have seen a complete show.
Yeah, it felt that way. It felt like there were no wasted characters, or everything just felt like it flowed together.
It's been polished to a shine.
Yes, yes.
But so if it went on forever, maybe they could pull it on. What they have to do essentially, as far as I can tell, is they just have to sort of extend everyone's stories. I think.
Right.
You could flesh out a bit. You could have a little bit more with like Sayaka and Kyosuke, find out a little bit more about their relationship and things like that.
Yeah.
Maybe like instead of Hitomi sort of sudden, I'm going to go steal your potential boyfriend thing, it could have been a slow thing.
Right.
Where like Kyosuke around in school and Hitomi starts getting a bit friendly with him and Sayaka's like, you're getting quite friendly with him, and she goes, yeah, I am. I really want him. Like, would you be able to move aside so I can, basically?
Oh, wow. It would be cool if they, because a lot of people hate Hitomi, so I think if they extended that a little bit more, I think a lot of people would, well, it would just kind of give them a chance to kind of let loose that feeling of anger that they have, because a lot of people they really dislike that Hitomi for what she did, so I think that would make people happy if they extended or got more into detail on that.
Yeah. Because, I won't touch on it for too long, but yeah, the whole Hitomi thing, I think, yes, she's a bitch, but it's for a reason, because it's just so sudden. We've seen everything from Sayaka's perspective, and she's put so much effort into going for Kyosuke and everything. Actually, the next time we see Hitomi after Girls Can't Love Girls, essentially, is, I want to steal your potential boyfriend who's been your childhood friend since you were young. And, like, I'm aware that this is a dick move, but screw it, I've got to do something in this show.
Oh God, jeez. I think that'd be great for like in a Bridge series, like somebody kind of weave those lines together and make it like really funny.
My issue isn't if it went on and on. You could find ways. There's always writing ways to extend it.
Yeah.
The big concern is what you're saying is just you can make it worse, and it's not going to like it's not difficult to ruin something as complex as Madoka, because we've already had the universe reset 2 times. Have god-level powers.
This is true. And another thing, I'm not sure if this is related, but I feel like there's a really big plot hole at the end of Rebellion that because they don't really explain in extensive detail how Homura became the devil. It's the kind of thing where you have to look at what she did and kind of come to your own conclusions.
The way I interpret it is she basically harnessed the power that would have been released from turning into a witch, and like she's manipulating that power itself because the magical girls literally defy logic. You can use emotions themselves as a power source. So she's controlling her own emotions to the point that she can wield them to a god level, essentially.
Interesting.
And also by also siphoning off part of Madoka's powers, she's able to achieve that. I think that's how I interpreted it, basically.
Interesting. Yeah, I actually really like that. I think the only other thing that I've heard was that Homura's original wish was to be able to protect Madoka. I think that her original wish was to try to protect Madoka. And one theory that I saw that was kind of interesting was that in her changing at that point, it was almost as if her wish, because you could almost say that because of how the series ended, because her wish was kind of not truly granted because she wasn't able to protect Madoka after Madoka made her wish to become what she inevitably became. So one theory was that at that point the wish kind of reworked itself so that Homura could once again kind of be in that role essentially. Kind of, I think it was kind of like it's not like I think there are some holes in that, but I just found it to be interesting. That's an interesting way of looking at it.
I mean, I want to go off on this. I'm happy to go off on the like justifying what Homura did at the end of Rebellion thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could briefly go into that. I guess if it's a part
Well,
I think.
Yeah, I won't overdo it, but it might be worth it because it also would explain,
Okay.
whether or not. Because yeah, the big thing that obviously everyone complains about the ending of Rebellion is, it's really out of character. It doesn't work what Homura does basically, but it makes sense. Basically, yeah, as you said, her wish was to protect Madoka. That was the one thing she was going to do. She finds out before the twist is one that Madoka was not happy with what she did, because Madoka herself says that if she did have to leave everyone like she does when becoming God, she wouldn't be happy with herself.
It's
even if she had to do it.
right. One thing that I'll say, and I just want to add a little bit to that. I always felt like it's really hard to judge Madoka's true feelings based on that scene. The only reason that I say that is because the version of Madoka that says that is the one who's unaware of. She's unaware, I guess, of the events that kind of happened. Because one thing that the series mentions is that. Madoka doesn't have a purpose, and she feels like kind of inadequate because of the fact that she doesn't have, like in her mind, she doesn't have an ability or something that she can use. Like she essentially she wants to be of use. She wants to be able to help people. She wants to feel like she has a reason for being around, and because this is mentioned a lot at the beginning of the series. And one thing that her wish was able to do was that.
Perfect.
Yeah. One thing that her wish was able to do is that it was able to, give her like a reason for existing. And so the thing is, even though that Madoka that had said that to Homer, I kind of feel like that version was not like I just feel like there was a lot of information that version did not know, like in terms of because that version was unaware of what she was ultimately going to become and why she became that way and all the stuff leading up to that. Like she didn't have all that information there. So I kind of feel like even though she said that, I feel like that's not 100% how. It's really tough because essentially I'm saying that there's two Madokas. You have the one that was talking to Homura, but then you have the other one who essentially experienced everything she did in this series, which led her to make that decision. So it's like
it's hard because you don't know what point in time that Madoka's on, because everyone else is literally taken from the real world.
Right.
And it's speculation that could actually be basically the version of Madoka that Homura wants.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Too sexual, but the one that satisfies her desires out
Oh
of
god, when you say it like that.
but that's what it is though, because all the conversations they have, Madoka says something like, oh, I've always wanted to talk with you like this and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whenever they converse, it's explicitly set up in a way to make Homura happy. That's the thing. But that's another thing. Let's not go over it. But yeah, the point I'm trying to make is that Homura. The point is that Homura believes that Madoka isn't happy with her decision to become God.
Yes.
Essentially,
Yes.
what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Regardless of whether or not it's true, that's the information she has received.
Yes. Okay.
The other information that she receives is from Kyubey, who confirms that the plan that they've had all along is to capture Madoka and to return the universe back to its original state with the witches and everything. That is their plan. Because Homura was an idiot at the end of the series and bothered to tell them that this used to be
that part never made sense. Like, why would you go? I guess because she figured he wasn't going to do anything, or I guess she didn't like.
The thing is that basically the end of the series, because it was meant to be the end.
And I think it was really smart the way that they ended the original series, because even though at the time they probably did not necessarily have plans to continue it, I would imagine, at the very least they created a situation where, like. I'm not sure if it's something where when they went into production for the third movie that it's just interesting how they were able to make a continuation that made sense out of something that originally was not supposed to be continued.
Oh, no, yeah, that is impressive. But yeah, the whole point with the end of the series with Homura telling Kyubey everything about what used to be in the old world, that, she also believes might just be a dream, is... The way I see it is that it's a wrapping up technique. It's basically Homura, who has been on a mission for so very long, coming to terms with everything, coming to terms with the world, and understanding what her limitations are, which she completely forgets by rebellion. She changes that, goes, I can do anything. I can.
Essentially, yeah.
The point is that she's come to terms with things, and she's telling Kyubey this because she's realised that Kyubey isn't really evil. He's just doing a job.
Yeah.
And that's how I take it anyway. And then of course
he's actually trying to save the world in his own way. Like in his own way, he's trying to save the universe.
Oh yeah, this is something else. But like people have talked about this before, Kyubey isn't really evil.
He's not.
Not because one doesn't really have emotions anyway, and two, he's doing an inherently good thing. It's just because it
just doesn't translate well to humans because we don't have the concept of what's good for the universe. We're kind of what's the word?
Yeah, incubators don't understand the value of an individual life because they're a species that exists as a hive mind anyway.
Right.
One of them dies, it just gets replaced by another. It means nothing.
Right.
So that's the thing, I suppose.
It's just like with him, because if you destroy one, another one just reappears and he acts like it's not a big deal. Okay, well.
Yeah. Anyway, let's backtrack a bit. We were deviating too much from the first one, right?
The power of editing will save us all. But anyway, let's backtrack.
The point was that Homura has received the information from Kyubey that their entire plan is to take Madoka and return things to the rightful way with witches and such.
Right.
And so, using these bits of information, Homura goes, I've got one more chance. I can still protect Madoka. And the way I can protect Madoka is by literally ripping her from heaven. Because if I do that, then the incubators can't get her. That is her plan, essentially. And that makes sense. It's both selfish and selfless. Because it's selfish because she's clearly doing it to get...
Plan, wait, let's backtrack that a little bit. So her plan was to rip Madoka from heaven. But how does that prevent the incubators from...
Because it gives the ability to recreate the universe and everything, and by having that power, she can stop the incubators from doing what they want, because she can manipulate things the way that she sees fit, is the thing.
Interesting.
That's her whole plan is to basically, I don't know how much she necessarily knew, if she knew she could, do all the things that she ended up doing, but, she knew she had to find some way to prevent the incubators from ever being able to touch Madoka.
being in control of where they are, and essentially it was essentially her way of making sure that things didn't that they didn't essentially make contact with her.
Yeah, because the other option was either she didn't break out from her own soul gem and then Madoka never found her, and she's happy with that option, because if that happens, then they'll never see Madoka. They'll never get a chance to grab her because I think the idea is that Madoka's like the only person she'll actually ascend from heaven, so the incubators grab her is Homura, and like they can isolate her or something is the idea. But because she breaks out and everything, and she is going to be taken away to heaven, this is the option. Because otherwise, she gets taken away with Madoka, but the incubators now have the opportunity to grab Madoka, basically. And, yeah, that was her preventing that is the idea.
I think it's funny because it seems like it would have worked. The only issue that we have is that, well, it just seems like, just based on the concept, and this is a speculation thing, so I won't go too far into it, but clearly maybe Homura might have miscalculated something in what it is that she attempted to do, because in the trailer it looks as though the incubators are potentially experimenting with trying to figure out, like how they can overcome, I guess maybe, like, I kind of take it as them trying to figure out how to access the law of cycles, or they're trying, like, they know that it exists and they're trying to figure out how they can.
Rebellion, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of get that sense, but again, that's a speculative. But anyways, go on.
Yeah, if we go for a fourth movie, what Homura's done wrong is what she's done wrong from the beginning. Mm-hmm. She is spinning far too many plates at once. Mm-hmm. And you can't do that. Regardless of how much power you have, then you're going to let things slip through. And because, the things that she has to deal with are, A, getting the job done, which is making sure that Madoka's safe. Mm-hmm. B, getting people on her side, which she's really bad at doing.
Yes, yes. It's funny because I made a video. I technically made 2 videos now, which kind of flirt with the idea of that, since Homura has the ability to essentially manipulate, minds and maybe on some level emotions, maybe she'll use that as a way of trying to maybe converse either Sayaka or Kyoko to her side, possibly, since she technically would have the ability to do so, with the ability to alter minds and emotions. So yeah, so essentially, she might actually be able to force cooperation from others, possibly.
I argue that it would be broken because of strong wills and stuff. Because if you didn't, then literally Homura can do anything and literally nothing.
At this point, she's kind of in that position. I do think that is I really think that probably what they're going to have to do is that they're going to have to create some type of flaw or something that she overlooked within her when it comes to her abilities or with what her plan was, because the other girls are not in a position to do anything to her right now. It's like they have no idea, like their memory has been wiped. Their lives are essentially have been molded to Homura's liking. Like, you have Madoka, who's performing ballet. You have the other girls who are hanging out. Something has to happen, and it probably has to be from Homura's own power, or maybe from her familiars or something. Like, something has to happen within her that's going to cause things to change. Because I don't think anybody on the outside can do anything at this point. That's just how I see it. But yeah. Okay. Sorry, we're kind of getting off. It's just tough because whenever something is expressed, it's like you hear it and then suddenly you get other ideas and you just want to keep going.
Yeah. I was going to say, we're kind of deviating into now of sort of what we would want to happen in a
right.
But
that, and I think I'm also sort of using the concept show because I think when I was talking about all that stuff, I was also thinking about, because as you were describing, what Homura did and the kind of controlling power that she has, I was thinking to myself, and I guess this, in some ways, it could work since I'm kind of using the concept show, and the concept show technically, well, I don't know. That's
on the concept. The concept trailer is a concept.
Yes.
Literally everything is subject to change.
True, but I don't think it should be completely dismissed, even if it's just.
Oh no! I'm not dismissing it. I'm just saying, like, this is me being really cynical and going,
Okay.
Basically, I don't like digging too deep into something that isn't confirmed yet, just in case it gets like denied. Basically,
Hmm. Yeah.
that, and also I think I mentioned to you this before. Is Madoka Magica's got a history with really weird and vague imagery, so
True. True.
fly out of their imagery because it may just turn out to be a complete like
Right.
misdirect.
Right. I like to be open to, because for example, one thing that I get in my comment section is a lot of people come at me. As you can imagine, I get a whole bunch of different perspectives and different theories and different, you know, because everybody has a different perspective on this series and how to look at everything. So I try to be, and truth be told, I think this has probably helped me to gain a better understanding of Madoka myself, because of the fact that, even if somebody presents something that I may not necessarily agree with, I always listen and I always try to absorb what somebody, like, for example, when you originally, what had happened inspired me to want to do the podcast with you was that you presented a perspective on Kyoko that I took notice of, and even though I hadn't come to that conclusion myself in regards to her, I still found it interesting, and I kind of absorbed that understanding, and kind of thought, yeah, that actually makes sense. I really could, see, that she actually, there was more going on with her than what I had initially thought. So what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, I get that in the case of the concept show, you can't necessarily, you can't, you probably shouldn't dig too deep into it. But when it comes to the series, I just like to be open to just,
Oh no,
try.
I've got nothing wrong with being open. I think I
Yeah.
just have a limit, and my limit is
Okay.
probably. Well, I don't know if you've ever seen this. Is it where you see fan theory stuff, and they'll literally like try and create a theory of like a single frame of animation or something. You
Like,
know.
yeah, I kind of like, I I think for me, like for me personally, as long as it makes sense, like for example, if somebody tries to come up with a theory that you can't really connect to, let's say somebody says to me, "Oh, I think in the next movie Kyoko is going to become a devil, just like Homura," and unless somebody can present like something reasonable that ties to the series, that makes, like, it has to make sense. If it doesn't make sense, and you can't set it up in a way where to me, it's not something that I would like pay any attention to, if you can't like present it in a way that connects with the series, like in like a reasonable sort of way.
Yeah. Anyway, what I was going to say was, did you want to? Because we didn't actually get round to it. Did you personally think that we should have a fourth movie, second season, whatever?
Do I think we should have? I have different perspectives on that. I think that because of the fact that the concept trailer was released, I think it's necessary to have, like, for example, if I'm being completely honest, when the third movie ended, I actually was satisfied. Like, it was one of those things where yes, it felt like it was an ending that wasn't happy, that it probably the series would have benefited probably if there was a continuation. But I'm one of those people that didn't feel like the original series needed a continuation, even though I was happy to see, all the characters again. And likewise with the third movie, I felt the same thing. It was like, no, this is not like a happy ending. This is not perfect as the first one was. But I didn't really have a problem with it. I felt very neutral. However, I think that now, because of the fact that, because I feel like that when the concept trailer was released, it essentially brought all the Madoka fans who might have been hiding somewhere, or who might have just been, they might have forgotten about the series. It has literally brought all of them, from like out of the woodworks, and now they're all like essentially, because I get spammed with this like all the time, and I sometimes feel so bad because I can't give people an answer, and everybody's kind of looking at me to be able to say to them, oh, when is the next movie coming out, and like what, like essentially everybody's looking for me to have all this information. I have to say to them, hey man, we don't, there's nothing that's out there. So what I'm trying to say is that because of the fact that fans are now kind of hyped up because of the fact that they released a concept trailer, even if it's just an idea, now people have these expectations, and they have this desire of wanting something. So now that now that feeling is out there, I feel like for the sake of like the fans, they need to present something. Otherwise, people are just going to feel, really upset and really disappointed, because then it'll be, well, why did they go out of their way to make a big deal? Like why did they release this trailer to the world in HD, and have this really special event? Like, why did they do all this? It's essentially the same as, like, like an April Fool's joke or something. Like it's like because what I'm trying to say is that for the sake of the fans, I think that there needs to be some form of a continuation now. So
See, yeah. My counter argument to this, which we
okay.
like back to when Rebellion was a thing, is like if you wanted the fans to still be interested in stuff and still
Uh-huh.
want to, this is me. I've said many times to you.
Uh-huh.
There are a lot of spin-offs.
Yeah, this is
A
true.
lot,
Yeah.
and if you, like, I would be very hard pressed to say if you asked someone who had not seen Rebellion, had only seen the show, would you, like? I'd hard pressed to find someone who goes, yes, I think that specific story needs to keep going because that story did end like very hard.
Right.
So, but there are things like the diff that exists, and you know that has the girls in it again, but it's just
Uh-huh.
a different story.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, yeah, it's really interesting. I think I was gonna touch on that. Like I think that like even if they decided to continue the series, like I feel like if they wanted to, as you mentioned, there are so many like stories that they could release that's related to the spin-off, and probably if they went into the direction of mostly focusing on like adapting the mangas, I think that probably would be the best way for the series to continue in a way where it wouldn't potentially damage the franchise as a whole in case they don't tell a story that isn't as good or doesn't live up to what it's already done, essentially. And it's like, in other words, I feel like it's a really easy way and kind of probably the safest way that they could keep giving people Madoka without damaging what was presented in the original work. Like, do you agree with that?
no, totally. It just stops
Yeah,
it from being messy, basically, by
yeah,
doing this. I mean, if you wanted to be a real tease, and you wanted to, like, if you got to the end of the series, like, oh, well, it kind of sucks how the ending happened. What would have happened if, like, Homura had managed to find a way to stop Madoka from making the wish? Homura's Revenge is a spin-off which exists. That
exactly.
has
Yeah.
a hilarious what-if scenario where Homura goes, screw you, Madoka, you don't get to become God, grabs her, time a month, and they just do the whole series again. But both Homura and Madoka and Kyubey know exactly what's going to happen in the rest of the timeline, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I think that would be a great way to continue with like a what if kind of story. I also think that, and I feel like I don't know if we should go too deep into this, but I feel like one easy way. I think the very first thing that should be adapted should Madoka continue. Like if it was up to me, my first priority if I was going to continue the series, even with how Rebellion ended, would be to adapt the different story manga. I feel like that there's so much that can add to the series, especially as it relates to characters like Mami or characters like Kyoko, in the sense that it would help people to understand and appreciate them like even more because of the limited amount of information and screen time that they got in the original series. So I think that would probably, in my opinion, that would be the safest thing that that can be done at this point. And I think I don't know if there's enough material to make a full-fledged anime, but I just think that that would be a great way to continue. And at the same time, it could also be like a prequel slash what if kind of story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, all Madoka spin-offs just exist in one of those timelines that Homura went through, but we don't talk about.
That would be yeah, that would be an easy way for them to actually do that because essentially if they wanted to, and in fact they could make that a series within itself. The series can be called Homura Time Travel. Some I don't know, like I don't have any names, but the whole concept of it is that, and maybe they can make this like a season or something like that. Maybe it can be the kind of thing where every season or whatever we're basically seeing a different timeline that Homura traveled through before getting to like number three or something like that, and then we can then they can move on into that story. I think that'd be a really easy way to be consistent in having multiple seasons like every year or something.